Hello there. Here I am, Teresa Vigorino, from my bedroom even. And today, from the survey that I did last week, most of you would like to know a little bit more about how to heal your emotional body. And I know very well the significance and importance of going through the healing process of healing those emotional wounds from our past, because living in the pain of our past will keep us from the joy of the present moment. It'll keep us repeating patterns, and it will prevent us from living this blissful life that really we're here to create and manifest. So that is the topic of the day. I know that there are some people that are going to join in, and there will be others that will watch this later. So I'm just going to welcome everyone here. Whenever you see this video, it'll be the divine timing. It'll be by your appointment with the divine and with yourself. And truly, it is a journey to the inner self. That is where you are going to find the healing. That is where you're going to find the bliss. That is where you're going to find the freedom, is really understanding who you are. Understanding that we can reframe every experience we've ever had. I do believe there's always a silver lining in every experience, no matter how painful it is, no matter how tragic it can seem during the time. There is always a benefit because God is that good. And typically, a lot of the decisions that we make, that's on us. We choose what we experience oftentimes. And remember, I'm a big proponent that we either create by design with the divine or by default, which is these old patterns that run around in our subconscious mind that we're not even aware of consciously. That is what's going on. And when you have an emotional wound, let's say it's a trauma from your past, and it's a very hard thing to forgive, to accept, and to move on from. And so it perpetuates in your mind. And as it perpetuates in your mind, it perpetuates in your heart. And as it perpetuates in your heart, you're vibrating at that level of that experience. And you recreate the trauma over and over and over again by keeping it alive in your life. Like, I want to help you close the book on that. I want you to be able to talk about the past wounds as if it's just a memory like anything else. Unfortunately, the way that our brain works, including the amygdala, which is the part of our brain that stimulates fear and caution, which we need, but because we are evolved beings, right? We're not running away, like I always say, from saber-toothed tigers and from dinosaurs and warring tribes. We don't have that particular level of high alertness, but that we still have that part of our brain very activated. And the way I see it and what I've learned is that it will project onto your emotional well-being. So if you, in other words, keep you fear of making a change, of believing in what's possible, always having you a little bit like a foot out the door with your belief systems. And if you have a foot out the door that you can heal from these emotional wounds, you're not going to heal from the emotional wounds. So step one is to make the decision and go all in, that no matter what it takes, you are going to go all in on your emotional healing. Where this all stems from is healing of the mind. I was just reading this morning as I was preparing and praying for you, The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. Now, this is his text, his manual. He has a lot of books that are not the complete works. This is the complete works, the Bible of Ernest Holmes. And he actually lived a long time ago. He was born in the 1800s, and this book was written between 1928 and I believe 1937, something like that. One of the most powerful texts you can read. Get your hands on something of Ernest Holmes. So I will write this down in the comments. Ernest Holmes, Science of Mind. Because if you understand that there is only one mind, and that is the mind of our Creator, and that we all are a piece of that. And when we elevate our thinking to right thinking. So let me define right thinking. When we elevate to right thinking, we elevate to the mind of God, and that truly is our goal, is to elevate to the mind of God. Sorry for the text messages coming through. But anyways, what I would like to teach you about is the mind of God and right thinking, because that will definitely help you be able to identify those negative thought patterns. Because again, look, I know that you've had wounds in your past. We all have. This is not about we don't need to rehash what happened, right? Haven't we talked about it enough? Haven't we thought about it enough? Hasn't it affected our present and future moments enough? So this is really about making a decision and putting a stake in the sand and saying, I'm not going to suffer anymore. So pain is inevitable. We experience pain as part of the human condition. However, suffering is optional. And it is our choice. And we go round and around and around. It's called a negative thought loop, which you've heard me talk about before. That is having the ego run your mind. If there is one thing we can control, everyone, it is the workings of our mind. It's our thoughts. Now, you've got to be vigilant and you've got to be hyper aware of what your thoughts are. So if you're thinking about what so-and-so did to you all the time, know that you were just replaying a videotape. Become the observer of it and make a decision that you're going to cut that tape. I have a lot of techniques for that. I'm going to go through a couple of them today. You want to cut that negative thought loop up and insert something better so that your brain has something else to focus on. So it becomes a habit. It becomes an addiction actually for the brain. But you have power over this. This brain belongs to you. So you might as well learn how to operate this brain optimally so that you can have the life that you really want. Living in emotional pain is going to prevent you from living the life you want, unless you enjoy living in pain, which I know everyone in this group is really ready to have the life that they want. Pardon me one second. So having right thought is having the mind of God thoughts. So the mind of God thoughts are love, intelligence, beauty, compassion, faithfulness, joy, gratitude, expectation, inspiration, all of those things that we know are the thoughts from the mind of God. Particularly if you've studied the Course in Miracles or you've become a metaphysician, if you're following me, yes, I am a Jesus lover. Jesus is always around me. Jesus is here today, and the angels and all of that, but I also believe that there's more to the story, such as we're energetic vibrations, and our job is to clean up our energy and to create these thought patterns that will uplift and elevate our energetic vibration to match what we want to experience. And I want everyone here to, the most important part of this, one of the most important pieces of this, number one is making the decision. Making the decision that at all costs you're going to face these emotional wounds. That's number one. And number two, that you're going to dig deep, that you're not going to shy away, even if it's uncomfortable. I challenge everyone here that's going to hear this to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. That's part of life. That's part of growing. Think about the acorn that has to, fall from the tree, is buried under the earth, has to break through the shell, that little blade that comes through to the surface of the earth, and then reach for the sun eventually to become the giant oak. What you're going through is growing pains, and we do have periods where it doesn't feel good. So keep that in mind, that the ego mind, the human mind, is going to try to deter you from doing this work. It's going to try to keep you in those negative thought patterns because that's what you're used to. So to believe that all things are possible, to believe in the miraculous, to believe that you can attain and have the mind of God, where you perceive things much differently than you do now, is something you're going to have to work towards, because your old way of thinking isn't going to want to give up that early. So as I always say, this is the long game, okay? There are people out there that can say, oh, you can have the life you want in 21 days or less, and it's all marketing. I'm really wanting to be the whistleblower on all these programs out there. Oh, have the best life you want in 30 days, whatever. When I tell people about my course, 8 weeks to magnetize your ideal mate, that's about 8 weeks to heal your past wounds so that you can magnetize your ideal mate. It doesn't mean that in 8 weeks you're going to be married and living the life of your dreams. So marketers really like to speak to your fear, and so do healers, teachers, and all of that. And one thought that came to me today was to share with you a couple things when you're looking for someone to work with. Number one, if they tell you that they've managed everything and they don't have any issues in their life, beware. Be very aware of that, because even the healers, even the teachers, we are all on the same journey. The students are the teachers to the teachers too. So I want you to beware of that when you're looking for someone to work with to help you through whatever that is, whatever issues you have, that we're all in this together. No one's above anybody else. Keep that in mind as you're learning from people. And also, you know, the do this in 6 weeks and your life is going to be XYZ. You know, how does anybody know how long it's going to take somebody else? You know, I went through this with business coaches and business programs, and I found that it's really low integrity. I really don't like it at all, and so I'm just blowing the whistle on that, because it's not true. Nobody knows the journey that somebody else is going to go on. So with that being said, I want to go back to the right thought and being the observer of your thoughts. That is so crucial in understanding where your emotional wounds are hijacking you from having the mind of God, which is limitless, which is miraculous, which is all things are possible. And so I want you to be on the forefront of your mind. What is the emotional wound? Is it child abuse? Is it, you know, you didn't get the kind of childhood that you wanted? But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you that the person that you are today, you would not be this person if you had not experienced what you have in life. With that being said, it doesn't mean that you have to perpetuate more suffering in your existence. So looking in your past, looking at everything you've experienced, you can look at as a gift. Everything you're experiencing currently, you can look at it as an opportunity. And everything you're going to experience, you can look at it as a miraculous unfoldment of your life. So everything matters when it comes down to your thoughts and your perceptions. And so I'm here to teach you how to have the mind of God, so that your perceptions adjust, your vibration elevates, you learn about what God really is and the God self that's within you. Because see, you have that perfection within you already. You have a DNA, a matrix, if you will, of a being that's already in perfection, that is already that spark of God, that has nothing to attain. And the part of us that isn't in alignment with it, that's what we're working on here. And we're working on here to align with that original matrix, to align with that DNA. So your identity is not that of your past experience. It's not even what you're currently experiencing or yet to experience. This timeless, limitless part of you has always been and always will be. And it's never changing. It just is. Just like God is always God, truth is always truth. There is a part of you that is the God self. There is a part of you that originated with God, the originator, and there was no beginning. So it's the part of you that truly is eternal, and it's the part of you that knows what you're going through. It's the part of you that somehow allows things for your personal growth or guides you to the miraculous. And it's the part of you that when you find it, it's not wounded. It's in perfection, and it says to you, you are perfect already. Align with that knowingness inside of you. Align with that beingness that you already are. And the rest of it is an illusion. The rest of it is just like we're living out a dream. So why not align your dream and your waking mind to the dream of that deep part of you, the God self, which is to experience heaven on earth, which is to experience heaven within, where it doesn't matter what's going on around you. You will know that you feel safe. Hi, Kelly Higgins. Hi, I love you too. You know that you're safe. You know that you're supported. You know that there is a divine being and divine beings around you. Everyone has a set of angels around them. Everyone has spirit guides around them. They can be ancestors. They could be beings that you don't know. Usually they were human beings that have been assigned or signed up to follow you through this life. Amplify that connection. How you do that, and it will help you with your thought patterns, is ask the spirit to help you. Ask for what you want and be open to receive. That's another lesson, that most of us ask, yet we're so busy asking, we forget that we need to put ourselves in a position of receiving. And that's where faith comes in, and that's where also when you elevate from faith, okay, I have faith that things are going to work out. You move up the scale of that. When you move from faith to belief, where you really believe it, where you have faith in. Then you move from this faith and belief to knowingness, where you don't just have faith for it, but you know it's going to happen. So you walk in this expectation, and you have this energy of expecting your miracles to unfold, expecting your emotions to be healed. Then you move into a place of trust. That even if you're going through something difficult, you trust you're going to elevate and you're going to come to a place that you're going to be able to look back and say, wow, you know, I went through some hard stuff, but I elevated out of it. And I was able to learn how to manifest what I really want to experience. So if you're living in the cycle of emotional wounds, because that's what the topic is today, and it's going around and around and around and around, I want to give you tangible things and not just talk esoterically like I love to. So recognize, number one, you have a decision to make. And the decision is that this thought pattern is not going to rule your life. Number two, that you have to heal your heart. And how you do that is by understanding that people are operating from their own sets of wounds, from their own sets of belief patterns, and that you attracted that person because of your wounds and your belief patterns. And so when you realize that as an adult, we're reliving some of these things that, you know, is set in our thinking and basically distorted our perception, that happened really early, and then we have experiences that amplify that and build on top of it to where finally, like at middle age, you're like, holy shit, what just happened to my life? Because every single time you go through a pattern, it's going to get worse and lessen until you do the deep work of understanding what it was that inside you, it's an inside job for every single person alive, that what is the thing inside you that is creating this in your life. Because you are the creator of your experience. You are the one that has to live your life by a design with the divine. So, you know, with everything, God is there. God didn't tell me to go marry the wrong people. That was my choice. But as long as I felt victimized by my own life, I was powerless to change it. So number one, recognize that you need to make a decision, that you're going to do whatever it takes. You're going to turn over every stone to heal emotionally. Number two, you're going to recognize that your heart's been hurt, but also, on the other hand, that every experience is an opportunity for you to grow from and to learn and to really enlighten your life. So eventually, you can look back on these souls that showed up on your path as great teachers and great mirrors to the places that you need help, the places that you need freedom, the places that you need to give attention to, because unless and until you do, more of the same is going to show up. That is how responsible you are for your life. No one can do this for you. There's not a great arbitrator in the sky that's going to say, okay, you suffered so long, I'm going to go ahead and send some blessings and miracles your way. If you don't believe that you're ready to shift, if you don't do the work and free yourself from the wound that's recreating in your life, what's God going to do? It's just go with you as you go along the journey still of recreating patterns. So it comes down to the brain, the heart, and then what are you going to do about it? I understand that emotional wounds and the pain that we suffer because of it can literally become our center focus. And as I was saying, when you want to work with someone or you want to learn from someone and they are telling you they've got it all together, beware. Because if they were completely enlightened, they would not be here. They would be on the other side, right? This is like an opportunity for us to grow and learn while we're here. And if you're a completely enlightened individual like Christ was, you go to the next side. So anybody that you're learning from is going through struggles. My struggle is I just found out this week that the scleroderma, I know Kelly doesn't know this yet, who's a dear friend of mine, but it went from, I just went to the best rheumatologist in the Bay Area. It went from being the mild version to the deadly version, potentially fatal version, and it's very active right now. So that's my struggle. You know, I use my formula that I'm trademarking for, you know, to manifest my husband in this new life of mine, but I still have work to do. My blind spot is this illness. My blind spot is there's a belief system inside my subconscious mind that is telling my body how to react, and it's killing itself. So what is that? So I don't have all the answers for myself either, but I know what I'm going to do. I know I'm going to have the mind of God, and in the mind of God, illness doesn't exist. I know that when I believe that I am perfection and I have the ability to heal, that I will. And that is my goal for 2018. I'm giving myself 2018 to centrally focus on healing techniques so that I can share with the world on how to heal from autoimmune disease. Everybody knows someone that has one or two or three, or knows somebody that has, a family member or a friend or somebody that knows somebody. So it's really a mystery to the doctors. And I believe that the reason it's happening to me is so that I can help heal other people. So find that antidote. And what's interesting is I used to be a victim to this circumstance, and I'm not anymore. I'm going to turn it around on its head and say, wow, this is a powerful opportunity for me to be able to go deep here and to be able to do my inside job and know the workings of my mind that's keeping me from having that perfection show up in my body. So we all have work to do somewhere in our lives. That's mine. And I wanted to share that with you because I don't speak from a higher than thou, holier than thou perspective. I'm in the trenches too. I got to work on shit all the time. So I want you to know that we're all in this together and that we all have emotional wounds. But like I started out with saying, it's our choice how we perceive that. We can look at it as, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me, woe is me. I did that for a long time. Or we can say, wow, this happened to me, this set me up for this belief system, this is how I created that pattern in my life, and this is how I've been recreating. Now I'm at a place of power because I have knowledge and understanding, and I can make a decision. I can recognize that this is a negative loop that I'm in, and I can take my power back by simply stating over and over again, this is tip number 3. I call my power back to me about the situation right now. And you say that with conviction until you feel it in your body. You call your power back to you, whether it's an old wound from 50 years ago or one that happened last week. I don't care. Call your power back to you from this situation. Put a stake in the sand and say, I'm going to learn what I need to learn. I'm going to heal where I need to heal. And I'm going to take my power back. Come from a place of power and knowledge and understanding so that then I can do different. So then I can elevate out of this. I can raise my vibration so I don't even attract that same wound anymore. If, after this is done, I want everybody to tell me, what is the emotional wound you want to heal from? What is it? Is it a relationship story? Is it a money story? Is it a health story like me? Is it you want to have a deeper spiritual connection, but you've got a block? What is it? Right now, I want to challenge everyone and encourage everyone. I'm going to post it here to do the inner child healing tonight or today. Take 40 minutes of your time. Every single person alive has a wounded inner child. When the inner child is screaming for attention and wanting healing, you will stay in suffering. You will stay in this irrational mindset that nothing's going to work out for you in that regard, which is a real childlike mind. It's not the mind of the infinite. It's not the mind of possibility. It's not the mind of knowingness that literally we are the creators of our experience, the God self within us. So, whatever that emotional wound is, I promise you there's a crying inner child in there that is saying, please give me the attention I need. Have you experienced some irrational fear or irrational emotional response to something? Maybe somebody said something to you and you just flipped the F out, or got scared, got so afraid of something that you're literally paralyzed. And really from the grown-up mind, you think that's just so silly. Why did I react this way? When you look back over it, it's because the inner child is speaking through you. The inner child is saying, give me the attention I need. The inner child, what happens is we all experience wounding from an early point, an early perspective. That wound literally gets stored in our being, okay, so in our emotional body and in the mind body. And literally it's still from the perception of that 5-year-old or that 6-year-old or that 4-year-old or that 10-year-old. And whatever the wound is still from that perception, not from the understanding and the wisdom of an adult mind. So it's important that you address this inner child inside of you so that you could put to rest those things that hurt you when you were little, that maybe you've said from your adult mind, oh, I understand, my parents got divorced and they were doing the best they could with what they had. They were repeating their own patterns. But the emotional aspect, the most important thing you can do from an emotional healing standpoint is heal that inner child. Everyone that works with me, not for and for me. Everyone that works with me gets that meditation. I'm going to post it. I did this meditation years ago, and I know even when I listened to it and when I did it for a class I was teaching at the time, it was transformational for me. And you're going to hear me say in this audio that I had many times that I was traumatized as a child, as a teenager, as a young mother, as a little older of a mother, and I literally went back and I comforted that version of myself that's still with you, that still makes up all the parts of you. And as we repeat these patterns, it's like we leave a little piece of ourselves through each trauma. Going through the inner child healing and then the inner teenager healing, the inner adult healing, when you do that, you're going to bring all those pieces back to yourself. And you're going to feel more whole and more connected to you than ever before. And you might as well do it now, because by God, you're going to take you with you everywhere you go. That's the one person you can't get rid of, is yourself. So you might as well heal that deep inner part of you so that you can have that self-love, self-compassion, understanding. When you have wisdom, pray for wisdom. When you have this knowledge of the reason why you've lived the way you have, the reason why you've brought into your experience what you have, and the way that you've made the choices that you have in your life, when you realize what it stems from, you then have the power to change it, and it doesn't have you captive anymore. It doesn't have power over you. And as you're hearing this, there might be a part of your brain that's saying she doesn't know what she's talking about. This is crazy. That's your brain trying to keep you stuck. That's your brain telling you, don't do it, because it'd rather you think and act and behave the way you always have. Sorry, I'm having hot flashes and my bangs are moist and they're falling down in my face. You will recreate all of it. I kind of lost my train of thought there. Bear with me here. So to close the book, this is what I always say. I like to say your past is like a book, a volume 1 of your life. When you take the power back from everything you've experienced in your life and you reframe it to say, wow, everything really has been here to serve me. Byron Katie, who is the author of The Work, a wonderful, wonderful teacher, really got this infinite knowledge that came to her, and she wrote this book called The Work. And she says, one of my favorite quotes is, you know, we have a choice to make. If we choose that everything happens for us rather than to us, it makes life a much more pleasurable ride. I'm summarizing, but something to that effect. So if we look at our life like, wow, this is happening for me, I don't care how ugly it looks or feels. If you can change your thought patterns of it and say, okay, this is going to show me something that I need to see. This is going to help me to take stock of my life, help me to be introspective. This is going to, by God, this is going to push me to learn more for my own healing, for my own life. And when you have that powerful intention for your life, everything shifts, because number one, you don't feel like a victim. And if you are out of the victim mentality and the victim energy of life, then I promise you, you will have less show up in your life to make you feel that way. It's the boomerang effect. I'm writing a book called The Boomerang Effect. Everything you feel. Hi, Ingrid. Oh, it's so good to see you, dear one. Everything you feel, everything you think, and then what you speak, you're putting out into the universe, and the universe is so loyal. The universe says, oh, okay, I'm going to give you exactly what you want, because truly we've been taught to believe that God, the universe, and all that is judgmental, but it's not. He's not, she's not, it's not. It's truly matching your vibration, matching where you are, and giving you so much plenitude in that regard. So if you have financial lack, guess what energy you're sending out into the cosmos? You're sending out thoughts of lack, feelings of lack, fear of lack, worry of lack, and that's what's coming back to you. If you are operating from, there are no good ones left, I'm never going to fix this love life of mine, I might as well get used to being alone, I promise you, you're never going to get that special someone. If you're holding on to something in the past, that's going to keep you from being able to experience the miracles of the present. If you have bitterness and anger exuding your being, you're going to have more things. You're going to see the world through bitter eyes. You're going to see the world through blaming eyes, and life is just going to match it. So it truly does. You are that powerful. I am that powerful. And when I changed my life, as my friends here know, I really went from feeling victimized by relationships to taking responsibility for where I was in that moment and saying, by God, the buck stops here. I'm going to have the life I want, or I'm going to die trying. And I still say that to myself. I'm going to have it, or I'm going to die trying. And that's the most powerful statement you can make. So recognize where you need the healing. Make the determination and the decision that you're going to turn over the stones. Do the inner child healing work, again, even if you've already done it, because each time you do it, something deeper happens. Some deeper connection to the self happens. And that's where you're going to find your paradise on earth, everyone, is inside you. Because when you literally align with the infinite, then life is a miracle. That you wake up, I don't care if you're living in a small apartment, I don't care if things aren't the way you really would rather them be, but you will still wake up with that inspiration, the hope, the knowingness that your life is a miracle, that you are a miracle, and that you are created to be your own miracle. You are created, and you have all the power within you to change the patterns in your life, to change the trajectory of every area of your life. Now, there's always a gap, right, between making that decision and when it shows up in your life, and that's the work. That's the work that you are to do, that I am to do, is by having the mind of God. And as we, no matter how it looks, we still have the mind of God. Thank you, Jillian. Good to see you on here. As we still have the mind of God, that all things are possible, in the gap, which I call the testing phase. Really, how faithful are you? How much are you going to be the miracle in your life? How much do you believe in your own miracles? And that it comes from being in alignment and through you. That's the gap period. So you have a choice of being miserable, and when day one it hasn't, like your whole life hasn't changed, you don't throw in the towel. You say, oh, I believe, and you walk expecting. And when you walk expecting the miraculous in your life, you watch the little things, you celebrate the little wins, and they feel like big wins. It could be, for me, I commune so much with the angels, and Archangel Michael's around me a lot since this January last year. I see feathers all the time when I'm praying, and I found a feather, the most unique feather ever, in my house in the middle of a room. I had never seen a feather like this before, and I was like, see, they're listening. And I take that as a huge miracle. How did that feather get in the house? And it wasn't that my cat brought in a bird. It was one feather, and it was the most unique feather I'd ever seen. On my wedding night last October, Kelly knows that I was wearing my Uggs towards the end of the night because of the reception. It got kind of chilly, and I wanted to be comfortable. There was a feather in the toe of my boot. How it got in there, I have no idea. I hadn't worn them in a year, but there was a feather in the toe of my boot. Little miracles happen all the time. And Albert Einstein says, and I love this quote, he said, you can look at life like nothing is a miracle, or you can look at life like everything is a miracle. Every breath you take, this is me now, every beat of your heart, every time you see something, hear something, have the ability to speak, have two legs to walk on, the fact that you're alive right here, right now is a miracle. So I'm elevating you out of that emotional wound right now. It is a choice, everyone. No one is going to be able to tell you, give this miracle to you. You have to choose it yourself, and you have to have the mindset of everything happens for me. Even if it doesn't feel great, you still have the choice to make, that from your perception, from the eyes of God, and we're going to pray for all of this before we end, that you are able to have the sight of God, the ears of God, the mouth of God, the heart of God, and you're going to be able to understand that everything in life was to polish your soul. But as you believe in your miracles and you start elevating out of the place of woundedness, and you're able to just elevate out of that into a place of possibility, so your focus is not on the problem but on possibility, your focus then, forgiveness just happens. I remember being so embittered over my ex-husband and so victimized, feeling victimized, and I just couldn't get over the blame and the bitterness of what his choices were. And then I realized that, I was I was 50% of that. He was the perfect counterpart to where I was in my own healing. And that wound was so severe that it forced me to heal because I could not stay. There was a reckoning. There was a day that I said, by God, I can't take this pain and bitterness anymore. I cannot be a victim to my own life. I've got to do better than this. And that was truly a turning point. I believe I was 39 when that happened, so almost 10 years ago now. Pretty close, might be 10 years now. And since then, my life has changed dramatically. So I want that for you. I want you to, determine yourself with that inner strength, with that God peace inside you, that you are this divine creator of your experience. All right, some more tangible stuff. If you're in the wound right now and you can't see out of this bitterness, I want you to, or sadness or grief or feelings of victimization, whatever it is, anything that's negative, okay? I want you to set an alarm every day. 1 hour a day max. That's what you get. I don't care. That's what the reason is. You get that 1 hour a day. You say, okay, at 9 a.m. every day, I'm going to feel real sorry for myself. I'm going to cry. I'm going to scream. I'm going to spit nails. I'm going to just yell at everybody who's ever shown up and hurt me along the way. And by God, I'm going to get it out of my system because feelings buried alive never die. Let's put a time frame on how much this is going to wreck your life each day. All right. So wreck your life 1 hour a day. Get the venom out. Spew it out. However you need to do it, drinking it away, eating it away, whatever. We all distract from pain because our brain doesn't want to experience the pain. So it'll give you ideas like, oh, let's just go drink wine all day, or let's go overeat all day, or let's go shopping all day, or let's go gambling all day, or whatever the case may be. That's how addiction happens, is because the brain wants to distract you from what you really need to deal with. So from this point forward, let's say we'll deal with it for an hour a day. The brain can handle that. So you say from 9 to 10 every day, or from 3 to 4 every day, I'm going to go through every single thing that's ever hurt me, and I'm going to get it the F out of my system. And you scream, you hit a pillow, you cry, whatever you need to do. Get it out, because if it's in there, you need to get it out. Now, that's all you get. 1 hour a day. Maybe after a couple weeks, you're going to be able to say, I don't need an hour every single day. I'm going to break it down to 30 minutes a day. And man, I'm going to get after it. I am going to stomp in the kitchen and I'm going to scream at God, at heavens, at me, at everything and everyone that's ever hurt my feelings. Okay. Get it out of your system. Then maybe after a couple weeks of that, you're like, I can handle 15 minutes a day. Because what you're going to start doing is you're going to get it out of your system, and you're going to start saying, wow, the rest of the day went really great. And I actually had better things show up, because you're not putting out this constant negativity. The minute that your alarm goes off, so I want you to set an alarm for it. The minute that your alarm goes off, that's it. You have to think of good things. I don't care if it's just you go outside and you feel the breeze on your face, and that is the only thing you can be grateful for. I want you to try to pick 3 things in the morning, every morning, what you're grateful for. Now, when you first wake up, it could be like how I am when I wake up. Well, I'm grateful I woke up today. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for Melody, my dog. I mean, it's that simple. It's basic, right? But by the end of the day, a gratitude journal for this is awesome. 3 things that happened during the day that you're grateful for. Like, hey, I had a great day with my husband or my daughter, or, I'm grateful for the phone conversations with my friend, or I'm grateful that I have these great books to read, or I'm grateful I managed to get to the gym today, or whatever the case may be. I'm grateful the sun was shining and I did something outside, whatever it is. So 3 that are basic in the mornings, 3 that happen during the day that you noticed. So I want you to be looking for things to be happy and grateful for. Because if you're living in the emotional wound, it's become a pattern now neuropathically. So there is a hardwiring in the brain. If this has been going on a long time and it's been a continued thing, trust me, you have a physiology to that experience emotionally. It all comes down to the subconscious mind. So you have to consciously create what you would rather experience. And one of the great elevators of vibration and thought is an attitude of gratitude. So you're going to take your focus off all the problems, right? And you're going to focus on possibility and what is wonderful in your life and what you can be grateful for. And seriously, if it's just that you smelled a flower today, the more that you train your mind to be grateful and to look for things to be grateful, you're going to be creating a neural pathway for it. And the more that you will be able to match that with the boomerang effect in your experience, the happier you are. And I'm not saying covering up the emotional wound with fake happiness. We're dealing with the emotional wounds, right? We're crying it out, whatever you got to do. Expressing, communicating, if you have someone in your life that is perpetuating this, communicating your feelings, making some changes. I mean, like, you have to be ready and willing to be courageous and to say enough, whatever it is. And I would venture to say most of it is you're going to say it to yourself. I know that day that I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired with this venomous bitterness that I had that was just eating my life up alive. And Kelly Higgins on board here, she can attest to it. I was just constantly mad, and I was constantly victimized, and I was constantly perpetuating these negative emotions in my life. And by the way, it does nothing for your love life, for your relationship with your kids or your other family members, and the relationship with yourself. Because truly, you know, we're just operating on a lower level of vibration. And so the more we operate from that level, the more negativity is going to show up. I remember I had accidents. I had 8 whiplash injuries in 2 years. I had more sickness. I had more issues with kids. I had so much perpetual negativity. And when I decided to make that change is when I did this work, and I understood that my brain was so powerful that I was actually magnetizing all kinds of weird stuff, all kinds of stuff that, like, it was like a black cloud was following me all around. And I, you know, even though, like, when I was with my friends or whatever, I was joyful and happy, truly on the inside, I wasn't. I was really sad, and I was really feeling like victimized by life. As long as you feel like you're a victim of life, more stuff is going to show up, people, places, and circumstances that's going to match that. Your bank account, your health, people are going to, you know, cause you pain. So it's really important that you do this work, everyone. I want to encourage you, even if your brain is saying after this call or after this class, oh, I don't need to do any of those things, but you're still perpetuating that same negative story. Trust me, more is going to show up to match it. You are the great manifester in your life. You are the miracle maker in your life. Own your life. Take ownership of where you are. I don't care if you've, oh my gosh, I mean, like, I had to take ownership of my money story where I could have been saving so much money. Maybe I didn't have to sell my house last year that caused me so much pain. I had to take ownership that I made choices with my finances that has led me to here. And so once I didn't feel victimized by that, I now know I can do better. I can learn from experiences. I can take my power back from my old money story, and I can say, I have the power to change anything right now. And I'm going to. I'm going to make different choices. Certain things don't matter to me as much as they used to anymore. I have a freedom from materialism that I once didn't have. You know, I don't know if any of you want to give your kids every single little thing, you'll spend your last penny. I actually can say no now where before I couldn't. So, you know, that lesson was big for me, but it taught me where I need to improve, where I need to up-level my money belief systems, where I need to not be coming from lack and fear and more of abundance. So, like I said at the beginning, I'm working on myself too. We all have areas that we're working to improve, and we all have an emotional wound that is keeping us away from freedom and being able to manifest the miracles in whatever area of your life that is. So your homework is to look at connecting the dots. We all know that I lived in a abusive family life growing up. I've been very open about the child abuse I experienced, which set me up for attracting more abuse to my life. Thank God I was never the abuser, but I did attract abuse to me. Now I get it and say, wow, I was a powerful creator. I manifested what was in here in my physical reality over and over and over again like a crazy person, but I didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't know that I was the one that was attracting it to me. No one said, okay, Teresa, this is it. You either attract abusers or you do the work. I had to figure it out that I was the common denominator in my life. The money story. The interesting thing for me is bill pay day, all growing up, is when the abuse happened. So it not only created a belief system of attracting abusers to me, but I also had this fear of money. So I married people that handled the money, and I didn't take responsibility for for my own spending, for my own lack of organization, whatever. I just like didn't want to see it, didn't want to hear it, didn't want anything to do with it, and money would fall through my hands. So I've had to take ownership of that, and you see how once you do this in one area of your life, you can look at all the major areas of your life and see how these original emotional wounds, which is why you have to do the inner child healing, how that affects every area of your life, okay? For my health, same abuser, same story, wanted to kill me and said, I wish you were never born. I wish you would die. And I heard that from the time I was born until, 3 years ago. And, this parent figure of mine, my mother, this is a hardwired belief system in me. And I know that that is going to be the piece of it that I have to unwire. I have to unwire that belief system in my brain so that my body will stop attacking itself. So we have these big 3 areas, right? Money, relationships, and money, relationships, and our health. Those are the big 3 areas we all want to work on, and we need them all, right, to live this life that we want to live. So whatever you don't have, trust me, there's an emotional wound that turned into a neural pathway in your brain, and that's what's living out in your life. Stanford just released a study. I keep repeating it. 95 to 99% of how you live your life is from your subconscious mind. So we focus on problems way too much. Another tangible thing, focus on possibility. What we focus on expands in our life. It's just a fact. What we give energy to is what's going to blossom. What we speak is either going to create life or death. In other words, I believe remission is possible. When you're making new affirmations and new statements, for me to go from, a month ago, I had a hard time walking without pain. So for me to go like a month ago and say, I'm cured. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm great. That's a lie, because I could barely put weight on my legs and I knew it, right? So it was just like, okay, I can't even get down in the bathtub because I can't bend my knee. So when you are if you're in poverty and you are trying to convince yourself that you're as rich as, a royal or as, Bill Gates or something, your brain is going to go, that is bullshit. So you have to incrementally and make these affirmations. So it could be, if you're in poverty, I believe that there is abundance out there. And maybe that's the biggest step that you can take in changing your belief, adjusting your belief systems. Maybe it's, I know I just never learned financial intelligence, but I have the power, particularly nowadays, to learn to do better financially. If it's relationship story, you can say, my God, I can connect the dots between what's showing up in my relationships and that in my life to those original wounds as a child that I can heal from, and I can recreate, or I can create better belief systems in my brain that I can have a great relationship at some point. So, to say if you're brokenhearted over a relationship, oh, I can have the man of my dreams tomorrow, your brain is going to battle that. It's not going to be in alignment with what you truly believe inside. So you have to go incrementally. Like, I believe true love exists. And that elevates you out of, oh my God, I'm never going to find anybody. How about if someone else can do it, I can too. And maybe that's the little step that you take out of the place of emotional wounding. Okay, so I know I'm still dropping value bombs here, and I believe that to start wrapping it up, yay, Kate's process, her process of manifesting true love. She's in the process of that. Post what you're working on, please, the people that are still here live with me right now. And I thank you for taking time out of your Sunday morning to be with me. It's so important that we have community when we're trying to improve our lives, because, oftentimes we suffer in silence and we suffer alone and we suffer when no one's around. I know that I did. My poor friends had to hear it over and over again. But when I was alone, was when the true misery really began for me. When I was alone, I was in despair. I could hide it when I was at children's events, or I could distract myself. And not that I couldn't be happy too in moments, but the inside me was mourning, and it was grieving for a really, really long time, and it became a pattern in my life, the grief. And so there comes a point where the grief becomes its own story, and it becomes an addiction in the brain, and then your emotions are really vibrating at that, and so you just keep drawing more of it in. So it really is going to stop by you making the decision to stop. Truly. You cannot change what happened. There's a formula in psychiatry that says event plus response equals the outcome. Well, we can't really change the events, and we really can't change the outcome to the events. But what part of the equation can we change? We can change our response to it. I can actually look back and say, you know, I am who I am because of all of those experiences. And I know this sounds cliche, but there's so much truth in it. And I can say that I am becoming more and more enlightened and more connected, and experiencing life from a wonderful, miraculous perspective because of everything I've been through in my life. Now, I also say very powerfully that I don't look at myself as being victimized anymore. And because of that, I know that I'm a divine creator. And because of that, by God, I'm going to still have the life I want, or I'm going to die trying. That's the level of empowerment that I want each of you to take from here. And Ingrid is working on staying positive during the hard times of her life. Yes, you know, Ingrid, that's one of the hardest lessons for us all. That no matter what it looks like, because remember, what we believe is what's going to show up. We have to have the belief system so strong in our subconscious mind that it will then show evidence in our reality. And that is the takeaway for everyone, is to work on your belief systems. And before it gets too much later, I'd like for everybody to close their eyes and take a deep breath, even if you're watching this later as a recording. And I just want to thank the universe for being here today, blessing each and every person hearing these messages that are divinely inspired and divinely given, that they took time out of the day to heal their lives. And I pray right now, Yeshua, Jesus the Christ, who is the great healer, who is the most conscious level of humanity, showed us by example that we all can be the miracle makers of our life. And I just thank you that more miracles are flooding their lives even right now, and that their perceptions and their wiring in their brains really become one with the mind of God, which is limitless, powerful, beautiful, intelligent, wise, loving, kind, compassionate. I pray that each one of these beautiful souls listening to this, and everyone in their lives, that they're touched from this teaching, and that truly their minds become illuminated, truly their hearts become healed. And we know that as they heal their mind, their hearts will be healed, and their lives will show evidence of that healing. And I pray this and more in their life from this day forward. Amen, amen, amen. I bow to you. I thank you for being here. I love each and every one of you. Please stay active in the group and tell me what miracles are unfolding in your life. And I'd like for us to start the gratitude, what you're grateful for. 3 things. I'm going to start. I'm going to write it in the group. I'm going to post the inner child healing. I'm going to do my 3 things every day that I'm grateful for. I would like for you all that are watching this to do it too. And just watch how that shifts everything in your life, and how you will take notice of the beauty and the miracle of life that you are. I love you all. Happy Sunday. Until we see each other again, take care.